I climbed trees as a child, and I climbed trees professionally for 17 years as a professional arborist. So I've been the tree warden for the town of Falmouth for the past 5 years. My position is broken pretty much up into 3 roles. So the tree warden, the forestry side, the park superintendent, and the head of school grounds. We're responsible for maintenance of over 80 acres of athletic fields, 160 acres of grounds, Goodwill Park, the Shining Sea Bike Path, cemeteries, 6 cemeteries, 20 playgrounds, and I believe 12 hard courts, meaning pickleball, tennis, basketball. We mow about 250 acres a week. We try to get it done in a week, but it's hard to maintain 250 acres a week. If we're fully staffed and we don't have any rain delays or weather issues, we can do it in a week. Fully staffed is 20 people out there working. Currently, right now, we have 18. We're responsible for about 247 miles of roadside trees and vegetation. And that's just the roadside. We also maintain all the trees on public facilities, parks, school grounds. I always say if it's green and it grows, we maintain it. So every spring we try to plant around 80 trees. That's generally our target time for planting. We pick an array of different trees to plant. We go by the motto of right tree in the right place. We don't necessarily have a book that says what trees we use, or it's different for each space. So when we replace a tree that was under the wires, we always plant a small tree that won't interfere with the above head utilities. That's usually an ornamental tree like a Coosa dogwood or a Stewardia. If it's not under the utility lines, we plant a deciduous shade tree. That would be your maples, your oaks, your elms. But every tree requires its own thought. We don't want to plant the wrong tree in the wrong spot. We want to plant a tree that is resilient to urban conditions and that will grow and live for a long period of time. The Tree Warden of the Year was awarded to me for the dedication and leadership for the health of urban trees. This was a nomination that gets sent out to everyone that's a Mass Tree Wardens and Foresters Association member, and it's a ballot, and people fill it out, and I just happened to win this year. I won the Seth H. Swift Award right here. It's quite an honor. I'm very honored to have it. Now I just need to live up to it. So yesterday we just had the tree ceremony award over at Peg Noonan Park. I chose an American hornbeam tree to be my tree for this year for my award. Present there was the president of the Mass Tree Wardens and Foresters Association, Ed Olson, and Paul Sellers, the head of vegetation management for Eversource. So during the ceremony, Paul does a blessing for every tree he plants. He does it for our Arbor Day festivities as well. And he sings a little song. He starts off with the roots are on fire. And then he goes into give trees a chance. And everyone waves their hands up in the air. And it's always a fun ceremony to do when we plant a tree. I picked the American hornbeam because it's a native tree. It's a very underutilized tree in the landscape. It attracts local pollinators, and it's just a beautiful tree. It has really nice flowers that change throughout the season, and really nice bark texture.
Perfect. Okay.
So currently, as I mentioned before, we're trying to plant around 80 trees a year. The problem with that is watering. These trees need care after we plant them, and because of our department size, we don't have the time to go out and water trees, especially during the heat of the summer in July and August. So unfortunately, a lot of these trees do not get enough water. So I'm hoping to get a volunteer base to come out and assist for watering newly planted trees, and hopefully taking over some of the stewardship to the care of the newly planted trees. I'm always looking for assistance and help wherever I can get it. Generally, a tree needs to be watered until it's established, and that generally takes about 2 years, probably 3 though. So my favorite tree is the American elm. It's my favorite tree because it's the state tree for Massachusetts. And my favorite tree in town is also an American elm. It's a very large American elm behind the bus depot over on Depot Road. It's very, very grand. It has about 150-foot spread and one of the largest elm trees in our state. I wish the residents knew that we're a very small department and we get a lot of complaints about trees. And we try to react the best as we can. But here in Falmouth and in most other towns, we don't remove trees because it sheds too many leaves or too many acorns. We only remove trees when they are a failure or risk of falling in the town right of way or on your property. We were governed under Chapter 87, the Shade Tree Act. So sometimes people think that we should come over and just prune your tree or remove the tree because it's interfering with their lawn or their solar panels. We just can't go ahead and remove trees. We have to follow a certain guideline for a tree to be removed. And also, we don't also have the time to come out and just prune every tree throughout the town because it has a couple dead branches. All trees have dead branches, and that doesn't always mean that we have to go out there and prune it. Favorite day on the job would have to be Arbor Day. During Arbor Day, we plant several trees in commencement of Arbor Day. Generally, we get, depending on the year, we have school kids come and we just celebrate everything to do with trees. The American hornbeam that we planted yesterday is about 7 feet tall currently, and it will grow to mature size to about 30 to 40 feet. So I have 3 children. They're 11, 13, and 7, and they will be able to play under that tree at its mature size in about 20 to 30 years.